A billionaire sneaks home early, heart racing to surprise his little girl, only to catch his glamorous wife abusing her in their mansion shadows. What he does next is so shocking, it'll leave you speechless. Stay tuned for a story of betrayal, courage, and a father's unbreakable love. A billionaire tech mogul, racing home in the dead of night, his heart pounding with anticipation to surprise his little girl. But what he stumbles upon in his lavish mansion freezes his blood. A scene so horrifying it rips his world apart. Alexander Voss, a name synonymous with wealth and power, stands in the shadows of his own home, witnessing the unthinkable. His glamorous wife, the stepmother to his beloved daughter, unleashing cruel abuse on the child. What he does next? It's a decision so jaw-dropping it leaves everyone stunned. Buckle up, because this story will grip you to the very end. Alexander Voss wasn't born with a silver spoon. Raised in a small Ohio town, he built Vostech, a cybersecurity empire, from nothing but grit and genius. By 37, he was worth $1.2 billion, living in a sprawling California estate with marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and a garage full of Ferraris. His greatest treasure, though, was Emily, his 10-year-old daughter from his first marriage. Her mother, Claire, died of leukemia when Emily was 4, leaving Alexander to raise her alone. He poured his heart into being both father and mother, tucking her in with bedtime stories and cheering at her soccer games. Then came Victoria Langston. She was 29, a vision of elegance with raven hair and a smile that could charm a room. They met at a San Francisco charity auction, where she played the perfect philanthropist. Alexander, lonely after years of focusing on Emily and work, fell hard. Victoria seemed to adore Emily, showering her with gifts and posting glowing family photos on Instagram. They married after a whirlwind romance, and for a while, life felt like a dream. But dreams can hide nightmares. Alexander's work kept him on the move: Singapore, London, Dubai. He trusted Victoria to care for Emily, believing her complaints about Emily's misbehavior were just a child testing boundaries. She's spirited like her mom, he'd chuckle over FaceTime. But the truth was far darker. Victoria, envious of Emily's bond with her father and resentful of sharing his wealth, let her mask slip when Alexander was away. The abuse started small, snide remarks, withheld desserts, but grew into something sinister. On September 11th, 2025, Alexander landed at LAX 3 hours early, his private jet cutting through the night. It was the anniversary of Vostech's biggest merger, and he wanted to celebrate with Emily. He drove his sleek Tesla to the estate, its iron gates parting silently. Parking in the garage, he crept inside, hoping to surprise Emily with her favorite pancakes. But as he climbed the grand staircase, a scream pierced the air. Emily's scream. He froze, heart hammering. Tiptoeing toward her room, he heard Victoria's voice, cold and venomous. "You little brat, you'll learn to stay out of my way." Peering around the corner, Alexander's phone was already recording. There, in the hallway's soft glow, Victoria loomed over Emily, who was curled on the floor, clutching her side. A bruise bloomed on her cheek. Victoria's foot swung back for another kick, and Emily whimpered, "Daddy, please come home." Rage roared through Alexander. He could have charged in, but years of strategic thinking stopped him. Evidence. He needed undeniable proof. As Victoria raised her hand, he stepped forward, his voice a low growl. "What the hell are you doing to my daughter?" Victoria spun, her face draining of color. "Alex, She was being disobedient," she stammered, stepping back. Emily sobbed, crawling toward her father. Alexander's heart broke, but his mind was razor-sharp. This was only the beginning. Alexander scooped Emily into his arms, her small frame trembling. "It's okay, sweetheart," he whispered, though his eyes burned with fury. Victoria's excuses poured out. Emily had provoked her, spilled juice on the rug, talked back. But the bruise on Emily's face and the terror in her eyes told a different story. Alexander's voice was ice. "Don't move. We're not done here." He carried Emily to her room, locking the door behind them. Sitting her on the bed, he checked for injuries, his hands shaking. "Did she hurt you before?" he asked softly. Emily nodded, tears spilling. "She says I'm a burden." She hits me when you're gone, Daddy. Each word was a dagger to his heart. How had he missed this? Guilt gnawed at him, but anger burned hotter. Alexander kissed her forehead. You're safe now. I promise. He stepped into the hall, where Victoria waited, pacing nervously. This is a misunderstanding, she insisted, her voice sugary. Emily's been acting out. I was just disciplining her. Alexander held up his phone. The video's still recording. Discipline? This is abuse, Victoria. And I have it all right here. Her eyes widened, but she doubled down. You're blowing this out of proportion. She's lying to get attention. Alexander didn't flinch. We'll see what the police think. He dialed 911, his voice steady as he reported the assault. Victoria's composure cracked, her pleas turning to threats. You'll regret this, Alex. I'll ruin you. As sirens approached, Alexander's mind raced. He couldn't let Victoria manipulate her way out of this. He needed a plan, not just to protect Emily, but to ensure justice. The police arrived, 2 officers stepping into the mansion's opulent foyer. Alexander showed them the video, Emily's bruises and her tearful account. Victoria was handcuffed, her protests echoing as they led her away. But Alexander knew this was only the first step. The next morning, Alexander sat with Emily at the kitchen island, her favorite blueberry pancakes untouched. She was quiet, her eyes downcast. I'm so sorry, kiddo, he said, his voice thick. I should have been here. Emily hugged him tightly. You're here now, Daddy. Her trust fueled his resolve. He hired a private investigator, Maria Cortez, a former detective with a reputation for uncovering secrets. Maria's first move was to dig into Victoria's past. What she found was chilling. Victoria Langston wasn't the saintly socialite she claimed to be. Her real name was Vanessa Lyle, and she had a history of fraud, manipulating wealthy men for money. She'd been married twice before, each ending in mysterious settlements. There were even reports of her mistreating stepchildren in prior relationships, though no charges were ever filed. Maria also interviewed the household staff. The nanny, Rosa, tearfully confessed she'd seen Victoria yell at Emily, but was too scared to speak up, fearing deportation. The gardener recalled Victoria locking Emily out of the house one rainy night as punishment. Each revelation deepened Alexander's guilt. How had he been so blind? He took Emily to a child psychologist, Dr. Lena Harper, who confirmed signs of emotional and physical trauma. She's resilient, Dr. Harper said, but she needs stability and safety. Alexander vowed to give her both. He moved his work to the home office, canceling all travel. Voss Tech could wait. Emily couldn't. Meanwhile, Victoria was out on bail, her lawyer spinning a tale of a misunderstood stepmother. She posted cryptic messages on social media, hinting at a smear campaign against Alexander. The tabloids lapped it up, splashing headlines like, "Billionaire's wife betrayed?" Alexander ignored the noise, focusing on Emily and the growing case against Victoria. Alexander hired Rachel Kwan, a fierce family law attorney known for taking down abusers. Rachel reviewed the video evidence, Emily's medical records, and Maria's findings. We've got a strong case, she said, but Victoria's team will play dirty. They'll paint her as a victim. Alexander nodded. Do whatever it takes to protect Emily. The first court hearing was a media circus. Paparazzi swarmed the courthouse, snapping photos of Victoria in a demure dress, playing the wronged wife. Her lawyer argued Emily's bruises were from a playground accident and accused Alexander of fabricating the video to frame her. The judge, unimpressed, ordered a temporary restraining order, barring Victoria from the estate and contact with Emily. Alexander testified, his voice steady but raw. I trusted her with my daughter. Instead, she hurt her in ways I can't forgive. Emily's testimony, given in private to a child advocate, was heartbreaking. She described months of verbal and physical abuse, slaps, locked closets, and constant belittling. The court ordered a full investigation, including a review of Victoria's past aliases. Outside the courtroom, Victoria approached Alexander, her eyes glinting. You think you've won? I know things about you, Alex. Things that could destroy Voss Tech. He stared her down. Try me. But her threat lingered. What did she know? Alexander tasked Maria with digging deeper, sensing Victoria had secrets that could complicate the case. The story exploded online. Hashtags like hashtag Justice for Emily and hashtag Voss tech scandal trended on X. Some supported Alexander, praising his devotion to his daughter. Others, swayed by Victoria's PR campaign, called him a controlling tycoon out to ruin an innocent woman. Trolls posted doctor images of Emily, claiming she was faking her injuries. Alexander shielded Emily from the chaos, limiting her screen time and filling her days with board games and ice cream. At Voss Tech, the board grew restless. Clients questioned Alexander's focus, and stock prices dipped. A rival firm, CyberGuard, spread rumors that Voss Tech's security protocols were compromised, hinting at Victoria's inside knowledge. Alexander called an emergency board meeting, presenting a plan to stabilize the company while he prioritized Emily. Family comes first, he said, winning over most of the board, though skeptics remained. Maria uncovered a bombshell. Victoria had been in contact with a CyberGuard executive, leaking Voss Tech's proprietary data. Was this her leverage? Alexander passed the evidence to Rachel, who filed for an injunction to freeze Victoria's assets, suspecting she funneled money from Alexander's accounts to fund her defense. Meanwhile, Emily started opening up. She drew pictures in therapy, dark scribbles of a mean lady and a safe daddy. Alexander framed her brighter drawings, hanging them in his office as a reminder of why he was fighting. But late at night, he wrestled with guilt. Had his ambition blinded him to Emily's suffering? Victoria's next move was ruthless. She gave an exclusive interview to a tabloid, claiming Alexander was emotionally abusive and had coerced her into disciplining Emily. She produced text messages, out of context, where Alexander urged her to be firm with Emily. The internet erupted, with some calling for a boycott of Voss Tech. Alexander's PR team worked overtime, releasing a statement clarifying his parenting philosophy and sharing clips of the abuse video, carefully edited to protect Emily's identity. Maria's investigation revealed Victoria had hired a hacker to access Alexander's personal emails, searching for dirt. Fortunately, his cybersecurity expertise meant his accounts were ironclad. Still, the stress was mounting. Emily had nightmares, waking up screaming for her father. Alexander slept on a cot in her room, reassuring her each night, "I'm not going anywhere." Rachel pushed for a faster trial date, citing Emily's trauma. The judge agreed, setting it for 3 months out. In the meantime, Alexander enrolled Emily in a new school with a trauma-informed program, where she made a friend, Lily, who loved unicorns as much as she did. Seeing Emily smile again gave Alexander hope, but he knew the battle was far from over. The trial was a spectacle. Victoria took the stand, tears streaming, claiming she loved Emily like her own and had only lost her temper once. Rachel tore into her, presenting Maria's findings, the aliases of fraud, the pattern of targeting wealthy men. The video of Emily's abuse played in court, silencing the room. Jurors gasped as Victoria's cruelty unfolded on screen. Emily's testimony, delivered via video to spare the courtroom, was devastating. She said, "Daddy would love her more if I was gone," she whispered. Alexander gripped Rachel's hand, fighting tears. The prosecution called Dr. Harper, who detailed Emily's trauma, and Rosa, who corroborated the abuse. Victoria's defense crumbled, her lawyer resorting to character attacks on Alexander. Then came the bombshell. Maria testified about Victoria's connection to CyberGuard, producing emails proving she'd sold trade secrets. The judge ordered a separate investigation into corporate espionage, and Victoria's bail was revoked. As she was led away, she glared at Alexander, mouthing, "This isn't over." After a grueling 2 weeks, the jury delivered its verdict, guilty on charges of child abuse and endangerment. Victoria faced 7 years in prison, with additional charges pending for the CyberGuard scheme. Alexander exhaled, relief washing over him. Emily, waiting in a private room, ran to him, burying her face in his chest. "Is she gone, Daddy?" she asked. "For a long time, sweetheart," he replied. The media frenzy intensified, but this time, the tide turned. Posts on X praised Alexander's courage, with hashtag HeroDad trending. Voss Tech's stock rebounded as clients rallied behind him. He held a press conference, flanked by Rachel Maria, thanking them and vowing to advocate for abused children. No one should endure what Emily did, he said, his voice breaking. With Victoria behind bars, Alexander focused on healing. He and Emily moved to a smaller, cozier home by the coast, trading the mansion's cold grandeur for a house filled with warmth. They adopted a golden retriever, Max, who became Emily's shadow. Alexander scaled back at Voss Tech, delegating to a trusted COO, and spent his days with Emily, building sandcastles, baking cookies, and reading her favorite Harry Potter books. Dr. Harper reported Emily's progress. Her nightmares faded and her laughter returned. Alexander started a foundation, Emily's Light, to fund therapy and legal aid for abused children. He spoke at schools and conferences, sharing their story to raise awareness. Emily, now 11, joined him at one event, holding his hand as she told crowd, "My daddy saved me." But Alexander's most shocking move came a year later. At a gala for Emily's Light, he announced he was stepping down as Voss Tech's CEO to focus on his daughter and advocacy full-time. The crowd gasped. Here was a billionaire walking away from his empire. "Emily taught me what matters," he said, tears in his eyes. "Wealth means nothing without love and justice." He donated half his fortune to the foundation, funding shelters and legal teams across the country. The decision stunned the business world, but for Alexander, it was simple. Emily was his legacy. They stood together on the gala stage, her small hand in his, as the crowd rose in a standing ovation. Years later, Emily thrived, a bright teenager with dreams of becoming a lawyer to help kids like her. Alexander, now a full-time dad and advocate, never regretted his choice. Their bond, forged in pain and triumph, was unbreakable. And the world? It was left in awe of a father who chose love over power, proving that true wealth lies in the heart.